Hey everyone, welcome to the Hey Hannah podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Mya Fields, but to my friends and those who know me well, I'm just Mya. I'm a higher education administrator, a mother, and a wife of 14 amazing years. But above all, I'm a Christ follower. This podcast is a special platform created to honor the memory of my beloved daughter, Hannah. It's here that I have the chance to have the conversations that I never got to have with her, to share the wisdom and love I wish I could have passed on. It's a reminder to cherish the precious moments we're given and a testament to the power of healing, hope, and personal growth. If you're someone who's seeking personal growth, inspiration, and practical advice to build a solid foundation for a successful and fulfilling life, this is a place for you. Join me as we honor Hannah's memory together. Laugh, cry, and learn. Get ready for a podcast that is so much more than you could ever imagine. The Hey Hannah podcast, healing hearts, one conversation at a time. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Hey Hannah podcast. So thankful that you are joining in to hopefully learn some new stuff, have a little fun, some laughs, but still leave here with some tangible tips to help you live life well. Today we have Eileen Joy with us. She is the money coach for moms. So I'm excited to hear from her because I feel like we can all use a little bit more money and a little bit of guidance in that area. So thank you so much for being here, Eileen. It's so good to have you here, and I'm excited to have this conversation with you.
I'm excited too, Mya. I can talk about money for hours, so you're going to have to kick me out of here.
So tell me a little bit about what you do as a money coach specifically for moms and why you got into the work that you're doing.
Well, money coaching wasn't something that I ever thought I would ever get into. It just kind of happened. And money coaching itself is really interesting because when people think of like a financial advisor, I am not like a typical financial advisor. I'm a money coach. And what I do, the difference between that really is a financial advisor is someone that really just takes your money and invests it for you. And it's like they take it and it's like becomes like monopoly money to them. And they just like kind of buy Boardwalk and Park Place and all these different things and hope for the best. Right. And so what I do as a money coach is I actually sit with you one-on-one and we look at your money. And we're not just investing it. I teach the 4 buckets, which is how to save, how to invest, how to give, and how to spend. And we go through and we look at your money with a purpose. And we provide a purpose for your money. Every dollar that comes in gets a purpose and a job. And this is how we can create wealth, how we can be debt-free, how you can have fun with your money while you're doing all of these things and saving for emergencies and all those things. Stop living paycheck to paycheck and then set your kids up for life. Right. And it's like really learning how to have a healthy money mindset instead of just being afraid of it and hoping that someone else can do something with it for you. Right. And meanwhile, you're in debt up to your eyeballs. Right. So I teach you how to love your money, have fun with it, and be able to just enjoy your life.
I'm curious to know how many people come to you and they just get, you mentioned like the 4 buckets. I'm just making little notes here, and they just get frustrated. And I'm like, Eileen, look, just take the money and do what it's supposed to do. And then just come back to me and tell me what's going on. Like, I can't do this. How many times do you run into that with people and you have to kind of overcome that hurdle in order to even start the coaching process with them?
100%. It's 100%. But you know why? It's because we don't learn about money in school, right? And our kids aren't learning about money in school. And money is one of the most important things that we should be learning in school. I actually have clients that have doctorates in finance that still have no idea what to do with their own money. And they come to me for help, to help them, their kids, their family, everything. And I'm like, this is insane. Our country needs to do better. Right? And all it is really taking a step back and stop being afraid of it. And that's really where we start. It's because we avoid it. We hope that it'll just be okay, but all we do is spend. That's all we know how to do. And we do it really well, right?
Sure.
We're going to spend,
Yes.
right? But we know we should be saving. We
Yeah.
know we should be investing. We know we should be giving to charities and sharing our money with others that need help and, charities that we care about. And then, at the beginning of the year with all the school fundraisers and stuff, everyone's like hiding from them because, oh, they're asking me for money. Oh man, I gave it the office, all these different things. Right. And it's like we avoid all of these things that we know we should be doing, but we were never taught how to do them.
You're absolutely right.
And this is why we're afraid. And it's not our fault. It's not your fault, right? It's like anyone listening today, if you take anything away from this conversation, it is not your fault. No one taught you.
Yeah.
Right? And now that you can't unhear this, now you can do something about it and not beat yourself up so much about being so afraid of it. And it's the same thing with losing weight. We all know how to lose weight, but I want the chocolate cake. I want the pizza. I want all these things. Right. But then I just eat too much of them. And then I'm like, man, I can't fit into my jeans.
I know.
It's the same thing.
You know what I love the most is how joyful and excited you are about a topic that gives people so much angst. It's like debt free, budget, And so I love that you bring such a positive spin to it, because I do feel like a lot of times people are just like, this is too much. I don't want to touch it. You said something a couple of times, 2 words, and I'm wondering, in the state of just, the economy, you hear all the time, groceries are so expensive. Everything's so expensive. I'll never be able to buy a home. Is the American dream unrealistic these days? Is it actually true that the average person, you believe, can be debt free? Is this really a thing? Or is this just like something that we're still kind of pie in the sky?
You can be debt free. You can be. And the thing is, it doesn't matter how much you make, it's how much you keep, right? And like I said earlier, all we know how to do is spend, right? Because that's all we do. And it's like when you're little, and this is something too, if you think about it, like if you've got kids, right? The things you say to your kids are the things that they're learning about money. So it's like when grandma and grandpa give them a birthday gift or something of cash, right? And then the thing that they always say is don't spend it all in one place, right? And it's these things that we hear that we take on and they live in our subconscious. And then that's just how we operate. That's how we're learning, because we're not actually really learning like you would in school or taking a class or hiring someone to sit with you and teach you or any way of formal teaching about money. It's just like we learn from our parents and we learn from our environment, right? And that's with everything, right? Unless you take a class.
Yeah.
And so we're teaching each other and our kids how to spend, right? And then if you're not physically saving money, if you're not investing money, if you're not giving money and you're not showing your kids how to do that either, then no one's learning about it anywhere. Right? So if you just simply take a step back, because I had to file for bankruptcy many years ago, and this was all from my divorce. So this is how it all went down. So after my divorce was final, I was left with $347 to my name. And I was now a single mom with a 5-year-old with $347. I had to sell my house to pay for my divorce. I had to get a new job at the time because I was working with my sister-in-law, now my ex-sister-in-law, and she made my life miserable in the office. And I said, okay, peace out, I'm gone. Right?
Yeah.
I left, got a new job. And then my son and I got into a really bad car accident and we both ended up in the hospital. Car was totaled. I'm still dealing with a neck injury from that car accident. And this was all happening at the tail end of a bankruptcy. And I had to start all over. Right. And I could have just been complaining. I could still be complaining about that.
Yeah.
Right. And just be like, woe is me. I'm in debt. I have all these bills. I don't know what I'm doing. I can't find a good job. Like I could just be living in that.
Yeah.
Right. But instead I said, you know what? I have to put one foot in front of the other and figure this out, because I am now a single mom with a 5-year-old with nothing. Right. And I could have just said, you know what, I'll let the government help me, or I'll do this, or I'll ask friends for money, or I'll just get 7 jobs and like all these like low paying jobs. But instead I said, you know what, I have to just do something with my life and get my shit together, basically, you know? And that's what I did. And I'm also teaching that with my son. Right. Because when I got divorced, he was 5. He's now 11. And he now knows more about money than most adults. And it's because I'm teaching him. Like, he uses the 4 buckets. He invests by himself. He saves. He gives. He has all these charities that are close to his heart that he gives money to. One of his favorites is called the Global Water Center. If you ever want to look it up, it's awesome. And it's this organization that makes sure that the world has clean water. It's amazing. And we had gone to a lecture. He loves science. So we went to the Science Museum. This was back when he was like 8 or 9. And we went to saw this lecture of this guy who started the Global Water Center. And that's how we found out about it. And the thing that blew him away was that there's no new water on the planet. Like, all the water that's on the planet is the water that has been here for millions upon millions of years. And it just has been recycled over and over and over and over. And the more that we ruin it, the more that humans and all species and beings on the planet are going to die. Right. And so this deeply affected him. And he's like, I want to work there. I want to volunteer. I want to do all this. Or like, what can I do? And I'm like, my goodness, And so then he just like opened his eyes to like, wow, there's like a huge problem on this earth. Anyway, so now he's like really big into giving and sharing, and like opens his heart and his wallet. Right. And it's all because I opened his eyes about learning about money and having a healthy money mindset. Now, us as adults, our money mindsets are very different than our kids, right? So our money mindsets are what we have learned over the years, right? And there's this thing called a money story. So the money story is shaped from the time that we're 0 to 7. And so between the look on your
my
face
oldest
is funny.
is 6, so I'm like, I hope I didn't mess this up because I have 3 months.
So the good thing about this is that, yes, you've already programmed your kids, but you can help change their story.
Okay.
Because the only time it's too late is when you're dead for anything in life. Right? Once you know something and you want to make a change, you can do it immediately, right? You don't have to sit and worry about it for the next 20 years, right? You can just change it, right? You can rewrite your money story. I had to rewrite mine. My money story was trash. It was so bad.
So we can scrap that one and start fresh today.
And like, all moms say, oh my God, I screwed up my kids. Oh my God, this is so bad. My kids are destroyed. No, they're not. You can change it. So, and the easiest way to do that is to really just think about your own money story, right? You always have to start with your own, right? So your own money story was shaped when you were growing up, and it still is now to this day. It just starts then, and that's the foundation of it. And then from there, it can go anywhere. But what happens is you learn about money from your parents and your environment.
Yes.
Right. No one's sitting down saying this is what you do with your money. Right. No one's telling you your money has a purpose. No one's telling you it's your responsibility to save for yourself. Right. So these are the things that we all need to learn and learn how to do. But it's also changing the way we feel about our money first, because we're all scared of it. Right. We're all embarrassed. We all feel shame. We all just keep up with the Joneses. Right. We're all comparing ourselves to one another. And that's why we're spending so much, because, oh, well, my friend just got that thing and I need it too. Or I need something better than she has, or whatever. That's how we think. That's what shapes our money mindset. Right. And it's also like, what goes on in your house with money? Like, how do you talk about it? How was it talked about when you were little? Did your parents fight about it? Did they avoid it? Was one a spender and not, and did they fight about that? Or were they both spenders? Or were they both hoarders? Or did they both just save like crazy, never spend anything, and were very frugal? Like
Yeah.
how was it in your house, right? And then that also shapes your money fears, because we all
Yeah.
approach money from fear instead of love,
Yeah.
right? And if we simply think about how can I approach my money with love, which is such a hard thing to grasp,
I like that
because
question.
when you're so afraid of your money, how can you like love my money? What? Are you nuts? Right?
Yes.
Right? And that's why we just get rid of it. We just spend it all because we're so afraid of it. We don't know what to do with it. And so my money story, just a little bit about it, was my mom was a spender and my dad had a gambling addiction and he was also a spender. And my parents fought about money so much that it was scary. Like my sister and I, we would hide in our rooms and close the door until the fight was over. Furniture was thrown, holes punched in walls, screaming, just awful, awful things.
Yeah.
And because my dad had the gambling addiction, he would take any money that my mom had in their joint accounts and it was gone. He cleaned out their retirement accounts, all these different things. Like that's why they were always fighting, because she's like, stop taking the money. But she was also spending it too, so it was just this spend, 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 spend. And so my sister and I took from that is money is bad. Money causes fights. Stay away from money. Get rid of it. Max out credit cards. Do all these things, right? That's how we learned about money. We didn't learn about it by saying, this is how you invest your money and you should really save for an emergency and you blah, 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 right? We didn't learn that. We learned like this awful thing. And then my sister, she ran away from home the day she graduated from high school. And I didn't talk to her for 20 years. She just left, right? Craziness, right? So that these things can happen all because of money.
Yeah.
Right. And it's all, if you think about it too, if you're married or if you're dating somebody, if you have a partner, whatever, the communicating about money part is the hard part. And they say like maybe half of marriages fail because of money, but it's not really because of money. It's because of the communicating about it.
Yeah.
We can't communicate about it because of whatever the reasons are, whether you're afraid of it or whatever your money story is. Right? So your money story is now colliding with your partner's money story. And it's not a conversation you normally want to have before you get married, even though we know we should, because we need to talk about it, but we're so afraid of it that we just don't. And then all these issues come up, right? And then when the really important stuff comes up, you don't even know how to talk about it with your partner. And it's scary.
Yeah.
Right. So I deal a lot with that with the moms that I coach. They're like, I don't know how to talk to my husband or my partner. I just have or even my kids. Like, I have no idea how to do this. Like, I don't know what to do with my money. I don't know how to talk about it, And so that's one of the things that we start with is really learning, first of all, how to talk about it with yourself and how do we rewrite your money story? So if you think about like your own money story, Mya, like what did you grow up with? And like, how was money like in your house? And like, why are you so afraid of it now?
Oh, that's a good question. I'm trying to think. When you said money story, I started kind of piecing together, like, what is my money story? I don't feel like we were really involved as the kids a lot with like learning about hands-on, like how my parents were spending money. But I would say part of my money story was we have to go to work so we would be able to do these things. And so it was always equated to like, oh, you may have to miss out on this because we want to spend money in this other area. So kind of like a give and take type deal with money. And I would also say, like, especially along the work aspect, like maybe if my dad couldn't go to something or my mom couldn't go to something, it was because of that doggone money, or she had to go work because of this. So I would say that's a part of my money story, and not a blame, as I say this a lot about parents. I think parents, they parent with the best tools that they have at the time. But I don't even know. Today's my first day hearing money story. So I don't even know if they knew what a money story was. But I think that kind of shapes too, like part of how I feel maybe about how I do things now. Like, okay, well, do I need to make sure I do XYZ so we have this over there, or there's not, a lack of something in some areas. But I am interested just to kind of sit with myself a little bit and craft out more of like, okay, what is part of, how I interacted with money, and see how I'm then, because I can hear myself now like repeating some of those same things to my kids. And I'm like, oh, well, I didn't even realize I was doing that. So, yeah, for sure. I think that's some of the ways that I can remember with my parents.
And it's true. Like we say things that we don't realize we're saying because it's all coming from our subconscious.
Yeah.
Right? Everything that we learn and how we operate is coming from our subconscious,
Yeah.
unless it's in your conscious, which now it is.
Yeah.
Right? You've brought it out now. And now you're going to be thinking about it, and you're going to contact me and be like, Eileen, you blew my mind. What is going on? Thank you.
Well,
Right?
I already feel like that because I'm like, I need to really make sure that I'm like literally thinking about this for real and not just letting it be an afterthought. But I'm curious to know if you do feel like, okay, I haven't created the best money story for my children, or even I need to write my money story. Like, what's the one thing that parents who are listening can do today to help to craft a more healthy money story for their children? And the one thing that they can do if they know they need a rewrite on their own personal money story.
I can literally talk about this for days. It is so important. And I'm so glad you asked this question, because this is really where it all begins. Because before you even look at the numbers, you have to be able to rewrite your money story, or at least know where you're going, right?
Okay.
And also understand what it is that you've already taught your kids and how you want to rewrite that for your kids, right? So there's many different things that you need to think about before you even approach that, right? So the first thing that I also want to mention one thing before I forget, because this is so key. And it was something that I didn't even realize until it happened with my own son. So one day we were talking just randomly about money stuff. We were at the store and we were talking about buying things and whatever. And then he looked at me and he said at the time, anyway, so he's like, Mommy, people that are rich are mean and greedy. He said, so I don't want to be rich because I'm a really kind and generous person. And I looked at him and I said, where did you hear that? I said, those words have never crossed these lips. I do not, like, what? Yeah. And he told me he heard it on a cartoon.
Oh,
okay. Right? So this is what I mean about your environment. You learn about money from your own household, your parents and whoever else is around, right? And your environment. It's everywhere, literally everywhere. So the person who wrote that cartoon put their own money story into that cartoon character.
Yeah.
Right? Mind blown, right? So now your reticular activating system is going to be on overdrive. So I don't know if anyone out there knows what the reticular activating system is, but this is a part of your brain that becomes really aware of things once it's in your conscious, right? So I'll give you a very easy example. So if you are looking to buy a new car, right? For example, if you want to get, let's just say like a Ford Mustang, because that's an easy one to remember, right? So now you're thinking about getting a Ford Mustang, and now all of a sudden you see them everywhere. All of a sudden now everyone seems to have a Ford Mustang because you never really paid attention before at all the cars going by, whizzing past you on the road and whatever, right? But now all of a sudden you see blue ones and purple ones and green ones and all these fun color ones and red ones and black ones and so on. They're everywhere.
Yeah.
Right? And so that's what happens when something moves from your subconscious to your conscious. It's what's called your reticular activating system. This is part of your brain. So now that we're talking about money and the environment and all these messages, like you hear, like money doesn't grow on trees and people that are rich are, jerks and all these different things, right? But now you're going to be really hearing this everywhere, and you're going to notice what people say. You're going to pick up conversations of what people are talking about money, and you're going to look at them and be like, oh my God, do I say that too? Is that how I feel? How do I feel? What do I? And your mind is just going to go blah, 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 all about all this stuff now. Right. So it's really like, think about How do you want to feel about money?
Yeah.
Right? Because most people, I would say 90% of the people out there are stuck in the scarcity and lack mentality about money of
Yeah.
there's not enough. Everything's too expensive. I'm never going to be able to afford that thing, whatever it is, or I'm going to be working until the day I die because I'm never going to be able to retire. I'm going to be the old lady with the walker with the tennis balls on it, walking into my office, right? Sitting down at my desk going, there must be a better way.
Yeah.
I can't do this anymore. When can I retire? But there is a way. There is. It's just you've never been taught the way. Right? And you never asked because you didn't know you could.
Absolutely.
Right? There was never a way before because it was never presented to you.
Yeah.
Right? And they say the student is ready, like when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. Right? So when you're ready to really say, you know what, I really want to change my money story. I want to change my money mindset. I want to learn how to use these 4 buckets. I want to teach my kids how to do this, right? Then you're ready. And that's when you pull the trigger and say, I'm going to do this, right? And especially for our kids, this is another way to think about too. Normalize the talk of money in your home.
Okay.
And notice what you're saying when you're talking about money. Like, if one of your kids says, hey, mom, can I have that thing? And you automatically say, no, we don't have the money for that. Like, oh, don't say that, right? You want to take that back immediately now and be like, oh, well, what thing is it? How much is it? Maybe you could save for it. Instead of just saying no.
Yeah.
Right. And then because like when I was growing up, every time my sister and I wanted something, the answer was always some form of no. No, we don't have the money, or no, you can't have that, or put that back, or, whatever it was always no. Right. But with my son, I've empowered him with learning about money by giving him an allowance. Right. So every week he gets a little bit of money and he puts it in the 4 buckets. So he spends, he saves, he gives, and he invests. Right. And he knows that the money in his spending bucket, he can spend on whatever he wants. Pokemon stuff, Legos, books, like all the things he likes, right? Where he can buy whatever he wants. Never has to ask mommy. He has the money. And then he has a saving bucket. He's saving to buy a car.
Oh, wow.
He's going to buy his own car.
Impressive.
Right? And he's saving now. He started saving years ago. He has thousands of dollars already saved. Right? And, right? All from his allowance, a little bit, every single week. A little bit goes away, right? And now he has thousands of dollars already saved. And then he knows that he could take part of his money as well and invest it for his future, where he's going to pay for his own college. Right?
Now
so these are different things. Yes, because these are things we're not taught when we're growing up. The things that we were taught when we were growing up is mommy and daddy pay for everything or we get a loan. Right? We were never taught how to be responsible for our own money and how to save for ourselves, right? So we're not even saving for our own retirement because we were never taught how. We were never taught why. We were never taught that it was important. We were always taught, well, we can just go back and live with mommy and daddy. If there's ever a problem, I'll just call mom, or a friend, or like, I'll always have someone else bail me out, right? So what we need to start teaching our kids is, first of all, talking about money in our household in a positive way, in a way that empowers them, and then teaching them that it's their responsibility to take care of themselves.
That's a good one.
Right? It's a complete mind shift.
Yeah.
Right? Complete mind shift, because it's not something we're used to. So it's going to take time for us as parents to really get used to that, first of all. Right? And then they'll pick up on it very quickly because that's all they'll know.
Yeah.
Right? We have to do so much work on ourselves as parents, as adults, to change the way we think about things. But for kids, that's all they'll know.
Absolutely.
It's easy for them.
Yes. And I feel like you help to set them up to be healthy adults that are able to, now they're sustaining themselves, they're able to contribute to society and help other people. So I love everything you're saying. I just love this conversation. And I love the fact that you're providing hope for people who feel like there's no way for anything to be different. Not only are you telling us that it can be done. You're showing us that you have done about what you do in your space. It's like you've done it and now you're able to come and show other people how they can do it too. So I am curious to know, Eileen, how can people continue the conversation with you? Where can they follow you if they want to hear more about your money tips? Because I feel like this is a ongoing thing. We need to always be continuing to learn about how to positively interact with our money.
Agreed. The easiest place to find me is my website, momswhomoney.com. I also have a podcast called Moms Who Money. And I would actually love to share a free gift with your audience, if that would be okay.
Of course, we love free gift.
Who doesn't love free? So I have a free guide called 6 Steps to Money Smart Kids. And this is the perfect place to start with kids. Doesn't matter how old they are. And I have gotten the most amazing feedback from this guide. And it's a really great help to really start normalizing money with your family and how to start talking about it. And the place to find that is my website, momswhomoney.com/kids.
Easy enough. Easy enough. Hannah's Hive, as always, I will link this in the show notes. So if you don't have a pen, no worries. Just click right below in the comments and you will be able to connect with Eileen and learn more about her amazing money tips. We are so thankful to have you here and for you to share such good insight with us. I feel like, again, it really helps when you continue to have the conversation about money to get away from the stigma and some of the kind of negative feelings that we just have associated with it, because money is a tool and we need to be able to use it as a healthy tool also. So we end every episode with this same question, and I want to ask you, what is the best piece of advice you've ever received, or one piece of encouragement you would pass on to someone you deeply care about?
I always say, follow your heart. This is the only life that you will remember. And you really need to take a step back and think about, what do you care about most? What are the things that make you happy? And what is it that you really want out of life? And what does your heart tell you? And follow that.
I love it. I love it. Good stuff. Good advice. Eileen, again, thank you so much for being here. Absolutely appreciate it. And it's been such a joy to chat with you. I wrote down my favorite line. How can I approach my money with love? I'm going to ponder on that this week. And I just really want to use that to reshape my money story. So whoever's listening, if you want to grab that little tidbit too, I encourage you to, because that was definitely a gem for me. Hannah's Hive, you have been listening to the Hey Hannah podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. Again, absolutely appreciate you joining us every week. If you haven't already, please like us on iTunes and subscribe, and go ahead and give us a review if you have a chance to do so. Would absolutely love that. Don't forget, you can follow us on social media, Instagram and Facebook. We are there. We would love to connect with you in social media land. We will be here, same place next week, same time. So until next time, everybody, take care.
And that's it. I'm out of here.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Hey Hannah podcast. We hope that you found inspiration, insight, and encouragement in our conversation today. If you enjoyed this episode and want to stay connected with us, be sure to like, subscribe, and review the Hey Hannah podcast. Your feedback helps us reach more people and spread our message of love and wisdom. You can also follow us on social media at Hey Hannah Podcast. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok to stay updated on all the latest episodes, behind-the-scenes exclusives, and engaging content. And for those of you who prefer the visual experience, catch the video versions of our podcast on our YouTube channel. Just search Hey Hannah Podcast and hit that subscribe button to never miss an episode. For even more Hey Hannah goodness, visit our website at www.heyhannahpodcast.com. There you'll find updates, bonus content, and join a community that embraces you with open arms. Your continued support truly means the world to us. Together, let's spread love, share wisdom, and honor every precious moment.
Because here at Hey Hannah, we believe that life is meant to be lived well. Remember, a new episode of the Hey Hannah podcast is released every Wednesday, so mark your calendars and be sure to tune in. Thank you again for being a part of Hannah's Hive. Until next time, take care.
Entertainment.